Hello, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Unacademy's YouTube channel. Let's crack UPSC CSE English. Right? As you know, we are doing a crash course on ecology and environment for UPSC CSE Prelims 2020. This is a continuation of the same. So, we will be discussing about topic where continuation. We are doing a continuation of the topic called air pollution. This is about this is before starting. Let's see about this is about me, Venkatesh Emani. I'm doing so. I have completed my graduation long back and I am in the teaching field for more than 7 years as of now. So I'm very much passionate about teaching and that's why I came to the one of the largest online platform, Unacademy, right? So before starting today's session, we'll be discussing about the platform today just for a few minutes, then we'll move ahead. So Unacademy platform, etc. What do you get once you download this Academy app, Unacademy Learning app? Please download this Unacademy Learning app. Once you download it, etc., what things which you get is you'll get access to the top educators, people like Sudarshan Gurjar, Ayush Shangi, Munal Patel, Saurav Pandey sir, all these things. You'll get Deepika Reddy madam. You'll get access to all of these people and all the courses whichever are have started by these people. Then another thing which would I want to get to tell you is you will get what do you get once you download it. You get special classes. You get access to special classes. These are free courses which are an indicator for you to understand how does an academy app works, right? So these are the indicator. Then you will be having plus courses. So what advantages you have is the easiest way to learn UPSC CSE online is you'll get a flexible schedule. Once you are getting the flexible schedule, etc., that is you can enroll in courses and make your own daily time to take the track of your learning. So as there is a flexibility of schedule and there is a language of your choice, then there is an unlimited practice which you will be getting as advantages. Flexibility, it is because of what? Flexibility is because of what? It is because of two things. One aspect is in terms of the kind of courses which you wanted to choose, that is etc. Flexibility in terms of MCQ based course, flexibility in terms of a structured course, like for example we are doing as of now on environment. Another thing, etc. Flexibility by choosing your own daily timetable. Once you can choose your own daily timetable, you can prepare accordingly. For example, 8 hours a day you are studying, imagine. So out of 8 to 10 hours a day, if you can allocate 3 to 4 hours for the topics which you are not good at, the remaining topics, the remaining hours you can study based on your own timetable. So this flexibility will always be there and you can have unlimited practice. Then what advantage you will get is you feels like you are right in the classroom. That is, you can always chat with me, you can have interactive polls, you can learn anytime, anywhere, which are the most advantages of the Unacademy platform. And coming to the subscription amount, etc., these are all the options you have. I would like to tell you to go for either 12 months or 24 months, because simply I am telling you 12 months and 24 months are the most important ones for you, because UPSC preparation itself takes around 20 months. So 20 months of UPSC preparation, you cannot do it within these 6 months, right? So you should take a longer one, so that right from preliminary stage to mains to interview, all the things, etc., you will have access to the platforms. You will get understanding about how to prepare. Then once you go for a 24 months course, etc., another advantage you will have is the per month cost. You can see in this thing, per month cost here is 8,000, whereas in a 12 months for 12 months here it is 3,333. If you see in that way, for 24 months it is 1 month plus 1 year, 40 plus 8, 48,000. So in that way it has so many advantages for you. Then another thing, etc., which I'd also tell you is, if you apply this code VE10, as you can see here, if you apply this code, etc., you will get an additional 10% discount. As you get an additional 10% discount, etc., that will be of long advantage to you. right? So 48,000 will becomes 43,200. And before that, etc. Another thing, Unacademy has started a all India free mock test. So please enroll into this course, etc., which is free for you. And why you need to participate in this kind of mock test is you will get an all India rank. Once you get an all India rank, you will experience the competition. Once you are experienced at a competition, the outcome, you will be better prepared for the next exam. The more you sweat in a war, the less you bleed. The more you sweat in practice, the less you bleed in war. I think you heard this quote. So in that way, etc., bleed right now, or bleed even right now, the less sweat also will be there at the war. So even that way also it is correct. So usually the quote is, the more you bleed, the more you sweat in a practice, the less you bleed in war. So you'll be bleeding less at the time of main exam. So why? Because you'll be better prepared because of the continuous competitions which you do in terms of mock test. Then this will be acting as a practice for your preliminary exam, right? Then after the session, what will happen? Once you take up, you will get guidance with the top educators. Once you prepare, etc., you will know that this is the subject which I am weak at, these are the topics which I am weak at. Then you will also understand the elimination technique and the number of questions you are doing, all these silly things whichever you do, etc. You will learn how to attempt. And another thing which also get, the least thing which should be bothered, but definitely one of the important thing for you, some exciting prizes to win if you get good marks, right? Then you know the syllabus, the entire preliminary exam syllabus, etc. Right? Schedule, you have already one exam conducted yesterday, and then continuously 12th April, 26th April, 10th May, 24th May, you have continuous exams. Please look into those things. Right? Let's crack it. That is the code name for the, what is it? That is the tagline for Unacademy. Then here, let's come to today's session. We are discussing about a chapter called air pollution. So as per this chapter called air pollution, what suggestions I would like to tell you is, yesterday we have discussed about what is pollution, what causes pollution, what are the consequences, what causes pollution, etc. What are the agents which cause pollution, all these things we have discussed. And air pollution, etc. What are the different pollutants you have discussed. You have discussed air pollution like what are the sources in general, and then you have discussed about the pollutants like suspended particulate matter, carbon monoxide, dioxide, ozone, acid rain, lead, fly ash, how the fly ash utilization policy is there. All these things we have discussed yesterday, and now the continuation of these things, etc. We will be discussing about another pollutant called smog. So yesterday until now we have discussed other pollutants. Now we will be continuing from smog. So what is smog? Yes, what is smog? As the name suggests, smoke plus fog. Smoke plus fog. See, fog or haze intensified by smoke or other atmospheric pollutants is what you call it as smog in a simple words. The term smog was first used in the early 1900s to describe a mix of smoke and fog. The smoke usually came from burning coal. So usually as you burn coal, you will get all the compounds of sulfur and nitrogen, and these when react with other pollutants, etc., create something called a haze or a phase, fog-like conditions, etc., which are fog or haze intensified by smoke or other atmospheric pollutant is called smog. It is mostly common in industrial areas, and most of the smog we see is photochemical smog. Most of the smog we see is photochemical smog. See, why do smog occurs? It is caused as a result of all these things put together, not one in general in isolation, right? It is a combination of all these things. जैसे इंडस्ट्रियल एक्टिविटीज है, उसके साथ रेगुलर ट्रैफिक जो बढ़ जाता है सिटीज में, दिल्ली देखो. So what happens there? Industrial activities around Delhi. How many industrial activities you have? Check. Then how many vehicles are they using? Then burning of crop residue or all the things, etc. Any burning, any variety, whether it is for smoke, any kind of activity which you are burning, etc. Then incinerators. What is incinerator? What is a incinerator? Waste treatment method or a plan wherein which you burn the waste after segregation. Burn the waste after segregation. Even that also release some kind of toxic elements into the atmosphere. Then all these things, industrial activities, vehicular traffic, open burning, incinerators, when there is higher temperature, that is in certain higher temperatures, geography of a place also matters. Say, for example, you take Mumbai and you take Delhi. Both are industrial clusters. Here also industrial clusters. So if you see criteria, so let us say Mumbai here and Delhi here, this is the criteria. Do you find more industrial in Mumbai and Delhi? Yes. The next one, vehicles. Yes. But what happens is, you see, sunlight, calmer winds. Mumbai, you find more winds. Delhi, you find not so more winds as you find in Mumbai. As there are more winds, more strength of the wind, etc. because of land sea, there is proper distribution, or what do you say, the pollutants are mixing regularly. Because of which, etc. Mumbai's are, it is not like Mumbai is a paradise and Delhi is hell. But Delhi is much more having more problems than Mumbai. Why? Because of the geography of the place. Delhi located at a higher latitude, etc. There are some kind of climatic conditions which favor a certain city. We will discuss that today itself, Delhi pollution crisis. So there we will be discussing about that. So these factors, all this in geography of a place, sunlight, how much sunlight are you receiving? Why? Because sunlight is also one of the factor of a smog, calmer winds, because that can dilute the extent of pollutants. All these things are important agents of smog. So smog is caused by, in general, two major things. Always pollution is done by majorly industries and vehicles. Apart from that, another significant thing which of late is also agriculture. Then other things, etc. Incinerators, geography of a place, sunlight, calmer winds also do this. All these factors contribute to an all-encompassing smog which can remain trapped in the atmosphere with higher temperature and sunlight. This is what smog is about. Then it can be caused in a location that is away from the source of pollution also. That means if this is an industry which has released it, so imagine this is a chimney and it has released it, etc. It is not like smog occurs only around here. It can even occur here also. Why? Because harmful particles can be carried away winds, and here there might be some kind of a good heavy sunlight where there is concentration of the particles, and smog can occur also here. It can occur here also, it can also occur here. It depends on now winds. That's what which I am trying to say. So there are different methods of these things. Then photochemical smog. There are two types of smog, etc. What are they? Two types of smog. One is photochemical smog, other is sulfurous smog or London smog, or rather, yes, sulfurous smog. What is photochemical smog? It is produced when sunlight reacts with nitrogen oxides and at least one volatile organic compound in the atmosphere. So that means NOx. Yes, just a minute. NOx plus volatile organic compound plus sunlight is equal to photochemical smog. So it is produced when sunlight reacts with nitrogen oxide and at least one volatile organic compound in the atmosphere. Where do we get nitrogen oxides from? As we discussed yesterday, these are primarily coming from car exhaust, from the exhaust of a car, from coal power plants, from factory emissions. So from the exhaust of the coal, that is vehicles, from the coal power plants and factory are the emissions of the nitrogen oxide. This type of smog forms on sunny days in the result of emissions from traffic. So whenever you find traffic, you will find more photochemical smog. What happens here is these nitrogen oxides from car exhaust and hydrocarbons react in the presence of sunlight to produce a harmful mixture of aerosols and gases. Once this things, what does outcome is photochemical smog contains more tropospheric ozone. As you see in this, normal tropospheric ozone levels are less than 0.4 parts per million, whereas the ozone levels can be as high as 12 parts per million in these smogs. So what happens is tropospheric ozone, formaldehyde, ketones and peroxycetyl nitrates, all these things will increase. Particularly ozone levels will increase. If this level increases, there is so much amount of effects of pollution happening severely on us, because of which this is a dangerous thing. So photochemical smog is a dangerous thing. How does it formed? And nitrogen oxide plus volatile organic compounds plus sunlight. So as you see in this picture, you can see there is sunlight, and here you will be finding this variety. This is called as, what do you say, Los Angeles types of smoke also, because it is mostly occurred initially, it has observed in the USA. Los Angeles type of smoke. LA. LA type of smoke. It is very prominently known as LA. In Los Angeles, they call it as LA. So LA type of smoke, because it is mostly observed there, and it is bit southern part of USA, hence nearer to the more nearest towards the tropical areas, hence more kind of temperature, more sunlight, definitely there are more aerosols which are released. I hope you are following, all of you, etc. Yes, good afternoon to everyone whoever are watching. Please, any doubts you are having, any queries, etc., please always mention in the chat section so that you will understand it much better. Any doubts, etc., please keep on answering. Please keep on asking. Yes. Then London type smog or sulfurous smog, etc. Next variety. So another type of smog which you have is London type smog or sulfurous smog. So if this is sulfurous, means what? More sulfur oxides content, right? So next, London sulfurous smog. Burning coal leads to emissions of carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide and dust. When these pollutants mix with fog, droplets of highly corrosive sulfuric acid are produced in the air. It occurs at very cold temperatures. Burning coal leads to emissions of carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide and dust. When these pollutants mix with fog, droplets of highly corrosive sulfuric acid are produced in the air. It occurs at very cold temperatures. I hope you are understanding it, etc. What is London's? What is sulfurous smog? It is a type of smog which leads to emissions of burning coal. When these pollutants of, that is emissions of carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide and dust mixed with fog, droplets of sulfuric acid are produced, and this usually occurs at cold temperature. Just like in the last photochemical smog, nitrogen oxide plus volatile organic compounds plus sunlight. Here what it is, cold temperatures plus fog, droplets plus mixed with fog. So what happens, etc. Let's see once again the, what do you say, the equation. These kind of pollutants plus cold temperatures, more or less when you find fog, you will find it equal to what will happen. sulfuric acid is produced. Yes, I hope you are following. Burning coal leads to emissions of carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide and dust. Plus, when this mixed with fog, highly corrosive sulfuric acid are produced. This is what is called London type of smoke. Why it is called London type of smoke? As you know, most of the times, etc., industries have caused so much of emissions in the western part. Pollution has happened more in the western part, that is the westernized nations. We have understood so much amount of pollution from the westernized nations because there is so much amount of dust particles and all these things, modern practices which have started from the western side. There itself we will be having so many things which we are now facing in our own country also, because we are more or less following the same path of development of western nations, right? So this is why we are having this kind of things. That's why it is called London type smog or sulfurous smog. As you can see in this photo, see the temperatures here are not as high as you find in the London type of smog, in the photochemical smog, whereas in the sulfurous smog you find very high things. So this is what, where there is more kind of events which we are facing, right? I hope you have understood photochemical smog and London type of smog, etc., and the variations, etc. Next we'll be discussing about Delhi's pollution crisis. Why Delhi is more, though there was a question which was asked a few years ago, why Delhi is facing more pollution than Mumbai and Kolkata, despite being all three being big metros. Why Delhi is facing more pollution than Mumbai and Kolkata? That was a question which was asked in the UPSC exam. Yes, what reasons it could be? The reasons are, the first reason is geography of the place. What is geography of the place here? First thing, this is a higher latitude. Within Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata, geography is located at a higher latitude and it is located in the interiors of a continent, not coastal areas. It is not located in the coastal area, not coastal areas, located in the interiors. Then it is also having higher latitude, because of which what happens, the combinations of extent of sunlight which you face in winter, as you discussed in the previous classes, in the winter sunlight will be having less day in winter, and in summer you will be having more day, right? Because of which, etc., there is some kind of an impact of it. Why? The extent of summer, the extent of winter, the extent of sunlight days will also having more influence on the geography of the place. So this is geography of the place. Another thing, etc., being located in the interiors, what disadvantage Delhi is having is, in the winter time Delhi, geography of the place, because of interior climate, intercontinentality, what you are having is wind calmness. There is less winds which are blowing here. Because there are less winds which are blowing and there is plus long winter nights, what usually happens is, say for example, if this is the atmosphere, sorry, this is the surface of the earth, surface of the earth, that means where we are located, and these areas, etc., whichever above it, etc., what there happens is, see, there are industries here, they'll be releasing some pollutants, vehicles will be releasing pollutants, all the pollutants whichever are there, Because there is calmness of the winds, they will not move. They are more or less static in nature. Added to that, long winter nights, etc. I think if you have remembered the concept called inversion of temperature in geography. What is inversion of temperature in geography? Inversion of temperature in geography. Yes, anybody who is following, who is watching it live right now, please let me know what is inversion of temperature. Yes, inversion of temperature. No, no. Not sudden rapid increase in climate temperatures. Ishwar, you got it wrong. Yes, I will explain it, etc. But anyhow, any others? Ishwar, you got it wrong. Anyhow, it's okay. No problem. So what is inversion of temperature is, normally if this is the surface, temperature should decrease as height increases. It should be decreasing at the rate of, for every 1 degree, for every decrease of, for every 6.5 kilometers, there is a decrease of 1 degree centigrade of temperature. Sorry. For every 1 kilometer increase in the height, the temperature will be reduced by 6.5 degree centigrade, which we call it as lapse rate, right? As the temperature decreases here, normally what happens is, in long winter nights, rapid heat is land, rapid heating, rapid cooling. And so, because land rapidly cools down, in the long winter nights, that is in Delhi, you can see in the winter nights are very, very long, because of which by late nights there will be some kind of temperature which you find increase in temperature here. Normally temperature will be more here than you see here. See point A and this is point B. At point A and point B, temperature should be more at point A than B. But normally what happens is, B temperatures will be much more higher than A, which is the negative of normal lapse rate. Normal lapse rate means what, etc. As altitude increases, so as altitude increases, temperature should decrease, right? But what happens here in inversion? As altitude increases, it looks like temperature is also increasing up to a certain point in the atmosphere. Why does it happen? In the long winter nights, etc., all these things, etc., temperature looks like increase. Because of the cold temperatures, what happens in this part of the world? So here there is cold temperature and here there is more temperature. That's what now we have seen right now, inversion of temperature. Because of the cold temperatures, what finally happens is, whatever the dust particles which are released from the industries, vehicles, etc., whichever are there, they react with the smoke, that is the fog conditions here, cold conditions, and they settle down. They settle down nearest to the earth's surface. Settle down nearest to the Earth's surface. What happens is all the pollutants will be settling down at the nearest to the Earth's surface. It is not like they cannot move. Why? There is no wind which they cannot move. Added to that, there is not much vertical movement also, because see, we have discussed in geography so many times. What happens is, so what happens is, etc. Just a minute. Air, when it is heated up, it rises. Air, when it cools down, it condenses, density will increase. You see, why does a AC will have will be always located at the almost at the top position of the room? Why can't AC be located at the bottom of a room? You see, most of the times at any room, etc., when you are placing an AC, it will be always located at the top of a room, not at the bottom of the room. Why? What happens? AC, if this is a room, so imagine that this is a room, right? This is the ground level, and this is the topmost level, the wall. If you are locating your AC here, whatever the AC which is releasing the cool wind, cool air, what happens? Anything, one simple concept, all the molecules will expand by heating and contract by cooling. Contract by cooling, expand by heating. As they contract, all the air will come together, density will increase. As it increases, they fall down. So when AC is located here, as the cool air is released, they contract, they come together, all the molecules, as they come together, they fall down to the ground level. In that way, as the cooling is coming from the top to the bottom, the room is cooled out very, very quickly. So for a quick and a smart kind of cooling down the room, it is always better to locate an AC at the top of a room. Whereas if you are locating a heater, right? So there are certain places where temperature is very, very cool. So they will be located heater. What happens? Air expands and it rises. As it rises, etc., there is less air at the ground level. So Delhi, because of combinations of all these long winter, geography of the place, which is long winters, interiors, etc. Interiors, that's the reason why you have long winters, and also higher latitude. Sorry, interiors is because no winds. Geography of the place, etc. Higher latitude, less amount of sunlight in the winter. All these things contribute towards what happened, plus inversion of temperature. Whatever these geographical things which you have discussed now, whatever is happening, ultimate outcome, please remember, is whatever the pollutants which you have released into the air, they will be concentrating and settling on the ground level. So very beautifully what happened here is all the pollutants have beautifully set up in such a way that all the pollutants should concentrate on the ground level. So whether you are forget about what is the source of the pollution. Whatever the pollution is there at whatever level it, etc., it cannot dilute itself, etc. It cannot be even located at higher altitudes or higher depth, higher altitudes than the surface of the earth, because whatever the pollutants which are there in the atmosphere, we are pulling it back to the ground level because of the coolness of the temperature. This is impacted by geography of the place. What I am trying to say is Mumbai also might face the pollutants in the same way in winter, but because it is located more in the higher latitudes, this is more long winter nights, etc. All the pollutants will settling down on the ground level. I hope this point is clear. As you are settling that more on the ground level, etc., you find more pollutants. Have you understood this concept of settling on the ground level? Yes, whoever are watching it live, etc., please do mention in the chat section. Have you understood this concept, settling on the ground level? Yes. Ishwar, Saroj, are you watching it live now? Yes, good, good. So settling on the ground level. I think if you this is understood, this is the prime reason why Delhi is always having the problem, or in general, or the entire North India is having this problem. It's not just only about Delhi. We will discuss that later on. Now in the next slide, I'll be discussing that. So I have you understood this point. So geography of the place plus sunlight, lesser sunlight, calmness of the winds. These three have one impact. Then other thing, sources. Delhi, you find at the time of winter, the transition from normal season to winter season is also a transition for Delhi of agriculture season from Kharif to Rabi. So because from Kharif to Rabi you are having etc., you also have this concept of post harvest crop burning, crop residue burning in Delhi. In Punjab, Haryana, in western UP, etc., you find so much amount of crop residue burning. The crops are burnt, and another this is also adding to the pollutants. Plus, firing of brick kilns. There are so many brick kilns, factories, etc., in and around Delhi, which they are preparing of brick kilns, etc. All these are also contributing to more whatever is happening here. They are increasing the pollutants. Which variety of pollutants? Particularly particulate matter 2.5, particulate matter 10. If these pollutants are released, and what is happening? All these pollutants which are released, they are more concentrated on the ground level. As these particulate matter 2.5, particulate matter 10, etc. are concentrated on the ground level, you are having so many problems. Who are releasing them now? One, post harvest crop burning, which you signed post things, you will be finding that. Then brick cleans, one of the major things, etc., they are also contributing factors. Then, as India is in the phase of construction, so much amount of dust from constructed sites and unpaved roads which is policing. Added to that, Delhi, big city, expanding like anything, center of what is say, attracting, acting like a big magnet, attracting migrants from different parts of the world, etc. More construction sites. As you see right now Delhi, because of the lockdown, so many migrants have been trapped at Delhi, right? Are you following the news? Lockdown migrants. Who are these migrants? Majority of these migrants are working at construction centers. So Delhi is under the mode of construction. So all this construction now, what happens to this construction now? So what I'm trying to say is that the present lockdown, you can understand that Delhi is in influx of migrants. And these migrants, etc., so much amount of construction sites are there. These construction sites, etc., always release so much amount of dust, right? Added to it, now another homework. I can do all these kind of things on myself. I can show it you show it you here itself. But I would not like to tell you. You check 1991, 2001, 2011, 2020. Check Delhi population. You check Delhi population. Normally for a city, growth might be, population growth can be in this fashion. For sometimes some cities growth will be like this. So within a short period of time, the Delhi's population has significantly increased, right? Not in a gradual manner. Why? Because it is acting like a powerhouse of all the migrants in and around Delhi. Anyhow, this is what I'm trying to say. Because of which, etc., the kind of two-wheelers and four-wheelers pollution which you find in Delhi is very, very high. The number of two-wheeler and four-wheelers plus diesel engine vehicles, because more government offices are located, central government being located there. Diesel engines are more polluted than normal engines. Plus, once upon a time, Delhi used to have so much amount of whatever the traffic which used to move from, say, for example, you are having Delhi here. This is Delhi. Here you are having Punjab. This is Western UP. This is Rajasthan. Then Southern UP, some of the areas, etc. Haryana will be located around here, right? So much amount of vehicles which used to pass through there, which you need to move towards these areas. For example, from Rajasthan to UP, or else Rajasthan to Punjab. Similarly, from Madhya Pradesh, UP towards Punjab. Similarly, from Punjab to these things. Everything used to pass through Delhi itself. Now, added to this city being the center and vehicles etc. increasing, added to that lorries etc. which are increasing, all these things are putting enormous stress on one area of Delhi, which is leading to lesser. I think you heard this word so many times. I have discussed this in my class. Carrying capacity. Every region will have certain carrying capacity, and that carrying capacity is severely affected. Right, so this carrying capacity is etc. Yes, yes, Saroj, you can say yes. Malthus theory, we can say from that word also. Yes, Saroj, Malthus theory, carrying capacity, we can say from that also, right? That one also, in general also, both. So the two wheelers, diesel engines, four wheelers, all these things have significantly have increased, because of which the carrying capacity of Delhi has been severely affected. Then another thing, etc. Now, what government has done recently, I think east-west corridor, there is a road which has been developed, which is far away from the city, and all these vehicles which need to go the interstate travel. That is, what is this? Interstate travel. These things have significantly changed now. Right, so interstate travel, now we have segregated. What government has done, they have segregated it. Once they segregated, they are causing less impact of environment. Then other things, domestic and industrial emissions. So many industries located, coal burning industries, factories are located, fertilizers located, etc. Delhi being the hub of industrial development, for being the hub center for the entire agriculture region, from Ludhiana to Agra, etc. All these things, Delhi is the hub, because of which so much of industrial emissions also. Added to it, the uncontrolled burning of urban waste, the use of smoky wood, and cow dung cakes for cooking fires. Cow dung cakes for cooking fires. So, fire caused for cooking, etc. You may see so many cow dung cakes, etc., which are used for burning it, etc. Wood which is used, etc. All these things release what? More particulate matters. More particulate matter. 2.510, which you can straight away consume. That is, as you inhale, sorry. Particulate matter 2.5, as you inhale the air, the 2.5 dust particles, 2.5 microns, you will be consuming into the air, into your lungs. So, if you go to Delhi or any other industrial part of our country, etc., more or less, most of the times, our body has so much amount of stocks of particulate matter 2.5. Yes, yeah, that is how it is. So, these are the sources. Now, you add, what is that? Diwali. The Diwali firecrackers issue within these things. Diwali is a season. It also comes at the same season where you are shifting from towards winter, because Diwali usually occurs at late October or early November. This is also a time for crop residue burning of Kharif season. This is also time for seasonal change, where now slowly cold temperatures are turning into cool, because of which there is more concentration of air pollutants at the ground level. The problem becomes even more high, right? Yes, so stopping Diwali, will that help? Definitely yes, but this is only for 1 week to 10 days. but this is only for 1 week to 10 days. But within this 1 week to 10 days, etc., there is so much amount of significant impact. Significant impact. 1 week to 10 days. Very, very significant. Why? You can see tomorrow we'll discuss as air, what you say, National Air Quality Index. You can see check particulate matter 2.5 during Diwali time and during non-Diwali time. You can understand the difference. So these are the reasons which you find for Delhi pollution crisis. Now, is Delhi pollution crisis is because of agriculture burning or not? Let's check that with respect to data collected by TERI. So TERI, the Energy Resource Institute, it has conducted a survey. Based on the survey which they have found out was this, see left side, entire whole winter. This is the entire winter season. This is only for that transition from Kharif to Rabi around October, November itself. Only around 15 to 25 days. You see, usually what is the source of Delhi pollution is industries. Right now I have discussed now industries are the primary reason. Vehicles are the primary reasons. Then dust because of construction pavements and all these things, etc., are one reason. Agriculture burning, overall the whole winter it is contributing to only 4%. Whereas if you see particularly that burning period, that the transition, you find agriculture burning itself is causing around 40% loss, and dust is 11%. Others, vehicles are 18, industries are 19, residential are 6. So this agriculture burning is very high only at this point of time, not in general. Whereas the solution now, you see, Delhi government had this scheme, one of the scheme, odd even scheme, vehicles, that too only for 4-wheelers, not 2-wheelers are not applicable, right? What is the contribution of success of the scheme? The success at a certain area might be very good, but it is impacting only this. What about this? What about this? What about this? For everything they have to do, right? So I think you heard so many times while you are preparing for UPSC, you will be hearing this word thing so many times. Your solution should be multifaceted in nature, comprehensive in nature, right? Multifaceted, comprehensive. Why? Because the sources of pollution are also multifaceted, and are occurring around different sectors of the industries, different sectors of the activities conducted by human beings. Definitely the solution should also derive from multifaceted one. So industries, what kind of solutions you have for industries? What kind of vehicle solution you are having? Are you promoting more public transportation system? Are you promoting cleaner fuels? Are you promoting what kind of methods which you are promoting? All this one method, right? So this is about, you can see the Delhi pollution crisis. It is not just only about Delhi. It is also about the entire area stretching from Pakistani Punjab to almost around UP, Bihar also. This is where the entire region temperatures are very much low at that point of time, and where you can see the thickness of the fog. It is very much more at around Delhi and at around the entire northern India. But why Delhi is facing more? Because the pollution around Delhi is itself is more, not just about Delhi alone, because the concentration of the population, because the population density of Delhi is much more higher being an urban area. Being an urban area, Delhi's concentration of population is much more higher than any other part here. You don't find any other big city as you find in Delhi in this range. This entire range, Delhi is the biggest city. Because of which, etc., you are facing this. Otherwise, the same problem is also found at Ludhiana, the same problem is also found at Agra and all these things, etc. But this becomes even more higher. Why? Because of the concentration of the population. And you can see As you are more moving towards south, as you are more moving towards Bengal, etc., there is some kind of a wind movement where the thickness of the fog is also has reduced, and where there will not be much concentration of the particles on the ground level. Because of what? Because temperature will not be as low as you find in Delhi in other parts, because of which you are finding haze not in high concentrations as you find in Delhi. That is why the white color line is slowly within India part is diluting as you moving towards south. Otherwise, crop residue burning impact will be there from Pakistan to Bihar, even Bangladesh also, Bihar, West Bengal, and then Bangladesh also. But the extent is severe here because of the geography of the place, not in the other places. It is not as severe, though they also face some kind of a problem. As you can see, this is the aerosols. Aerosols are nothing but dust particles. You can see Lahore, New Delhi, Lucknow, Patna, etc. You can see thickness of the concentration of the dust particles. There are more aerosols which are concentrated in and around Delhi, in and around certain areas, etc. Particularly Delhi being a populated city, you are facing so many kind of problems. Whereas if you see Patna, slowly the dilution is reducing. Why? Because the geography of a place also has slightly varied. This is what I am trying to say. Geography of the place impact is because of this. The Delhi's these photos are taken from NASA's pictures, etc. of the satellite imagery. This satellite imagery clearly indicates that the entire region is having a problem significantly occurring in and around Delhi because of the concentrations of the dust. This is what I hope next time if anybody asks what crop residue burning is there, etc., to what extent it is happening, I hope you are understanding this. Right? Let's move on. Then what can be done? Solutions. Yes. In general, what are the solutions for pollution? This is not just only about Delhi in general. I just simply identified the pollution problems of Delhi. But in general, what solutions do you find? What can be done? One of the method which you can do is, as you can discuss the pollution point sources, mobile sources, etc. Different types of sources are there, different types of source correction methods. As you know, industries are the major contributors towards air pollution, as you can see in the graph right now. Formation of the pollutants can be prevented and their emissions can be minimized at the source itself. So what can I do? At the source itself, I can reduce. How can I reduce? For example, use of cleaner fuels such as liquefied natural gas in power plants, fertilizer plants, which is cheaper in addition to being environmental friendly. So this is a raw material substitution which you are having, right? Raw material is substituted. You can see Delhi also, there is all the public transportation system will work not on petrol, not on diesel, etc. They have LPG or CNG gases. Buses will run on CNG, compressed natural gas. Why? Because this is much more cleaner fuels. See, next time, once after this for a few days, etc., I will be discussing about renewable energy. Renewable energy. There I will be discussing about cleaner fuels in general. So cleaner fuels, what can happen? The source, the vehicles can reduce so much amount of pollutants. Similarly, even power plants, fertilizer plants, etc., industries also. If industries are one of the reason why they are polluting more is because of more coal-based power plants. There is you are using more fossil fuels. If you shift towards other kind of gases, energy sources, etc., definitely there will be less environmentally polluted centers. That is the reason why they are important. So any kind of a cleaner fuel, automatically there is more talk about making it larger scale because of the impact. That is the reason why we are talking about now electric fuels in general. Electrical vehicles. There is talk about that because of this. So point source correction methods is one method. This, see, concentrate at the solutions, come from the solution should come from the problems itself. What are the problems? From there you try to identify the solution. One of the problem of pollutant is point source, and from the point source what can you do? Reduce it. How can you reduce? use of cleaner fuels. Another method you are having is employing environmental friendly industrial process so that emission of pollutant and hazardous waste is minimized. That can be done. Example, you can also process modification like fly ash. Fly ash also, what can you do? Fly ash, what have you done? You have discussed fly ash. You have prepared a utilization policy for fly ash where you are now collecting it. As you collect it, etc., all the dust particles are collected and you are using it for a specific cause. Similarly, pollution control equipment. There are so many pollution control equipments. One of the pollution control equipment you have is electrostatic precipitators. What is electrostatic precipitators are? These are electrically charged particulates present in a polluted grass are separated from the grass stream under the influence of the electrical field. What is an electrostatic precipitator? It is an equipment where it is working to the philosophy of electrically charged particulates. These will be able to segregate the extent of pollutants within a gas. Why? Because it is under the influence of electrical field. Similarly, how do gravity? Let us give this example. Gravitational chambers, or how does a washing machine works? Look at those philosophies. What you are trying to do? You are trying to providing a source of energy, centrifugal force, centripetal force, whatever the things are there. Because of which, what happens? Normally, what happens is similar density pollutants will tend to accumulate at a certain place. So now if you are using an electrical field or gravitational chamber or whatever the methods are, what you are trying to do is, as the pollutant gas is being subjected to that kind of a force, this force will work in such a way that similar density pollutants will be coming to a similar one position. As you are coming to one position, you can segregate them very easily. So whether it is electrostatic precipitators, whether it is gravitational chambers, etc., what they try to do is they try to segregate. So similarly, gravitational chambers, scrubbers, filters also do work on the same philosophy. So this is one method, right? Another method which you have is vegetation. You will be having something called buffer zones. What is this? Buffer zones. So a city like London, you have something called green belts across the city which will reduce the extent of pollution. So green belts. For example, if this is a city, what you can do is, if this is a city, if this is a center, across the city, if you can have a segregation in this manner, wherever possible at certain areas, you can have ecological or certain parks which are made up of trees, that is nothing but vegetation. Once you have this vegetation which you call this green belt, what happens is, if this is one industrial area, if this is an industrial area and this is a colony, if you kind of have a green belt here, this is housing residential, this is industry. If you have a green belt over here, so if this entire region is green belt, what advantage have is there will be less dilution of the pollutant as it reaches the housing colony, right? This way, etc. It can, what happens is, it can be reduced by so much amount of pollution. This is what I am trying to say. Buffer zones is, what is a buffer zone? Is nothing but transition. Buffer zone is nothing but transitional area. So if this is A, this is B, this is core area, and this might be transitional area between to reach an area B. In between area we call it as a buffer zone. So buffer in an economy, I think if you have discussed buffer stocks which are kept as a reserve. Similarly, buffer in an environmental way are meant for transition zones. So cities like London, New York, etc., they have so much amount of buffer zones. Similarly, at planning stages, zoning. If you can plan a city in such a way that certain areas will be meant for industry, certain areas are meant for a factory, what happens is the extent of movement of the people also can be reduced. You can see other methods, etc. I will discuss this zoning at planning stage. You can see this photo. Yes, let us see zoning at planning stage. If this is a city, you see the center. You see the center. This is what town center. If this is a center, definitely the center will be having so much amount of industrial hubs, etc., so much amount of residents, so much amount of complexes, so much movement of traffic, and etc., and all these things. And as you move away from the city, you will have other activities. If you have, for example, like here an open space, for example, like here, etc., this is an industrial zone. For this is meant by other activities. Once again, there is another open space. Once again, this is an industrial zone. Once again, there is a other activities. Once again, there is a industrial zone. In between, etc., you are having residential areas. See, the yellow color photos are meant for residential areas. This is meant for town center, and these things, etc., that green color are meant for commercial areas. Green color, sorry, this blue color, this is commercial area. This is open spaces. What you are trying to have, as you have more open spaces and between industries, and this is, and you also having industries here, what happens is, as you meant for other activities, as there is also a green space, this can act like a buffer. Otherwise, what happens, the entire city will turn into a concrete jungle. If there are some kind of an open spaces, etc., urban flooding, all these disasters, pollution, etc., will not be as severe as it used to be. These are only mitigation factors. A small tree can also collect as much amount of pollutant from the air. Yes, it is true. Even a tree also can collect as much amount of pollutant from the air, because of which there is so much amount of impact which you can have. Right? This is what I am trying to say. This is what zoning at planning stage. So what did I discuss the last one? Zoning at planning stages. If you plan a city in such a way that where there is so much amount of planning which is done, because of this planning, etc., if you can activate in this manner green belt, industrial zone, open space, commercial areas, and all these things, what advantage it has is you can segregate the pollution. Similarly, if you are starting a big factory, you can start a factory in such a way that, etc., for example, uh, there is so Bangalore and Hyderabad are meant for IT centers. If you are making a certain area as a financial district, making certain area as an IT hub, IT SEZ, what you can do is you can relocate a certain region as a IT hub. Very near to it, you also can have a housing complex and make it so that there is less movement of traffic between them. So your housing, your residential colonies, your housing colonies, your kind of mass industrial based centers, all these things, the more they are located together, the less they are in having influence on traffic, the less there will be impact. You can also incentivize a factory whichever is employing so many 1,000, 2,000 employees. If you have a housing colony very nearer to it itself, for example, you take a big public sector enterprises of the past. Usually, you are having a colony of public BHEL. If this is one of the public sector enterprise, you also have a BHEL colony very nearer to it. Why? The context is people can travel lesser. So in that way, industrial pollution, also pollution from the industries, pollution from the vehicle also will be lesser. This is what zoning at planning stages is meant to be. Other things, etc., you can see this is called what you say vertical garden. This is vertical gardens. You can even develop a garden across the apartments vertically, etc. There are some kind of a species which through which some kind of plants which are meant for, you can do it, and you can also develop it across your pillars. There are so many pillars, right, in your cities, etc., metro buildings, etc., flyovers, etc. Instead of having only advertisement area as one objective, they can also look about having this kind of a pillars. They can also have, there are big pillars, etc. What you can do, you can also pack a develop some kind of vegetation and then make as a walking as an activity over there. All these things will act as what, will act as collecting agent, filtering agents of pollution. Filtering agents of pollution. What is the word which I used? Filtering agents of pollution. Because of which their solution can be done. All these things if they do, definitely pollution can be reduced. That's it about today. Tomorrow we will discuss about other things, sources of other concepts, etc. Just some doubts are raised. Let's see in the chat section. Yes, Saroj. No research in newspaper said only non-basmati crop residue are burning because basmati crop cut in a traditional way. That might be true, non-basmati, etc. See, I have discussed here that only is crop residue burning. As you move from rice to rice to wheat, from kharif season to rabi season, this is what crop residue burning is. In general, you understand to that perspective itself. Don't go deeper in terms of non-basmati crop residue are burning, even though it is correct. As of now, when we are discussing about a certain topic, to the extent of basmati crop, non-basmati, etc., that level is not needed. But yes, that is true. That is true. So there is also another research which is also conducted. The research is why this pollution crisis is happening is because in 1960s, if you see, there is so much amount of these areas, Punjab, Haryana, etc. They are not supposed to grow rice. They used to grow other varieties, not rice. Now you have started rice in an area which is not supposed to be grown rice. So your crop combination and your cropping pattern is not in tune with the environmental surroundings. So why Delhi pollution crisis is only now? Why not 50 years ago? Because then agriculture burning was not happening. Why it was not happening in this level? Because rice was not cultivated then. Because of green revolution, these areas there is also rice cultivation. This is also one factor. So what I'm trying to say is, long-term solutions are one method, short-term solutions are one method. Long-term, definitely, if government can relocate some of the crops which are other paddy crops in this area, etc., definitely this pollution is solved. But if paddy is needed for our country for survival, definitely you may have even short gap solutions also. That's why I'm trying to say there should be a long-term solution, there should be a short-term solution. This zoning at planning stage which we have discussed right now, this is the short-term solution or a long-term? Definitely it is a long-term. Planning of a city, you can see so many big cities having a see 2030 plan, 2035 plan, 2040 plan, 2040 vision, 2040 plan of a certain city, vision 2031. What are these things? Nothing but trying to understand how the cities will be there by that year, how you can have traffic movement and all these things. So this is also one big thing, etc. You can study as much as detail as possible. That's why government should always have short-term measures, long-term measures based on which they can frame a solution about. Right. That's it about today. Tomorrow we'll be discussing about air pollution, steps taken by the government or any further measures which they can take. We will discuss about things like National Air Quality Index. We can discuss about things, some of the government schemes like Suffer. We'll also discuss about electricity, what do you say, Bharat Standard 6. All these things we'll be discussing, etc. Yes, before that, please don't forget to hit the bell icon for notifications. Subscribe to this Unacademy's channel. Let's crack UPSC CSE English. And while you are taking a course in Unacademy platform, please don't forget to use my code VE10 to get around 10 percentage discount. Okay. Thank you very much. We will be having class tomorrow at 11 o'clock. From tomorrow onwards, they will be having live session from every day at 11 a.m. 11 a.m. sessions from tomorrow. Okay. So tomorrow we'll be discussing and completing air pollution. Right. Thank you very much. All of you, please be safe and take precautions.